Okay, folks, it's Professor Holozak back with another video. This one is on installing Oracle SQL Developer on Mac OS X. A few words about Oracle SQL Developer. It is a programming tool that developers use to connect to Oracle databases. It is mainly used to send SQL statements to the database and receive query results. It has many other programming, modeling, data mining, all kinds of other tools built into it. But what most folks use it for, and what we'll typically use it for, is basically writing SQL, sending it, and receiving replies. That said, the Oracle SQL Developer is just a tool. It doesn't store any data itself. The typical way someone would use it is they would run SQL Developer on their Windows or Mac or Linux machine. They would write some SQL, and then they would submit it. And that SQL code gets sent over the network to their Oracle database server. The query would run there, or the transaction would run, whatever work needs to be done, and then the results get sent back over the network. So the data lives in the database server. SQL Developer is just the tool that is used to connect to that server and communicate with it. So let's go right ahead and dig into it. I'm going to copy a URL here, and I'm going to use Google Chrome web browser. So you can use Chrome or Safari. I'll talk a little bit about the difference in a minute here. It should take us right to the downloads page. If you can't find this or you get a page not found, just Google Oracle SQL Developer downloads and you'll find whatever the current page is. Now, I'll just point out that as of August 13th, 2020, the current version of SQL Developer is 20.2. By the time you are seeing this video, it may have changed a little bit. It might be a little bit newer. It's nothing to be scared of. Basically, for most of the features, version 18, 19, 20, and so on, they're all pretty much the same. So because we're on a Mac here, we're going to scroll down until we find the section on Mac OS X. And just a quick note, in order for Oracle SQL Developer to work, it requires a Java Development Kit, version 8 or version 11. If you followed my prior video, which I strongly recommend you do first, you've already installed JDK 8, so you should be all set. If you don't have a JDK, I recommend getting version 8. We'll use it for other software as well. And yeah, so you should be set to go with your Java Development Kit version 8. So with that said, we're just going to click the download button here. And it's already remembered my username and my password. Okay, so there are actually two little extra steps. And if you ran through the the Java Development Kit download, you would see that you would normally be prompted for a username and a password. It seems that the Oracle.com website already remembered that from me, so it's kind of bypassed that step. So you didn't see that in this video, but you would certainly see it in the Java Development Kit installation video. So it's got about a minute left. I'm going to go ahead and pause the video, and I will be right back. Okay, so our download is finishing up. One thing I'll point out is that SQL Developer really is a very simple package. It's a zip file, and the application is inside of it. So there's really not a whole lot that you have to do. It doesn't even have a proper installer. So we can just go ahead and show this in the folder, and you'll see here it's a .zip file. Now here's the difference. If you are using Safari as your web browser, Safari has an option that will automatically unzip a zip file. It'll automatically uncompress a zip file as soon as it's downloaded. I tend to not recommend that because you never know when you download a zip file how much data is going to be in it or how big it's going to be when it decompresses. And it can take a long time to decompress. So that certainly doesn't happen here with Google Chrome. It's left it in its zip format. So what we can do here is we'll just right click and we will open this up with the archive utility that's built into Mac OS X, and it will basically unzip or decompress or uncompress our zip file. Once we've done that, we now have our app. Now it's sitting in our downloads folder. I don't recommend you leave it here. I would strongly recommend you just grab it and drop it into your applications, so then you can see it here in your applications. All right, so in order to run it, we're just going to give it a double click, and we should see it begin to start up. Sometimes it kind of starts up in the background, so it might need your attention down here on the bar. One of the things that it's going to complain about is that you've downloaded SQLDeveloper.app from the internet, and you have to affirm that you trust it. Depending on how strong you have your security set up, it may actually ask you for your username and password on your Mac, so that it gives it permission to go ahead and run. I'm pretty sure here I can just click open, and some interesting things will happen. Let me just minimize a few of these other windows. Yes, here it is. This is kind of the weird thing, is sometimes SQL Developer runs in the background, so you might not even know that it's running. But yeah, you'll see it here bouncing up and down when it needs your attention. Okay, that was pretty quick. Another thing that you might see sometimes is you might get a prompt, something about importing settings. You can ignore that, that's fine. And you might see another prompt that talks about whether or not you should send your use information to Oracle. You can just uncheck that and you'll be fine. So this is it. We've basically finished downloading and installing it. It's really not that, that big a deal. You can certainly go through things like tutorials and what have you here. Some of them get pretty advanced. The main thing that we're going to do, which I'm not actually going to do right now, but it's going to be creating a new database connection. So when you read my tutorials about, now is the time that you want to connect to your Oracle database, this is the screen that you will use. We'll actually put some information here in these fields to make a database connection. All right, and we just do that by clicking the green plus sign. All right, to get out of it, you can just click the X. You can kind of X out of it. And then I would recommend that you basically clean up your downloads. Whoops, where are we here? Yes, here's our downloads, because we no longer need the zip file, so we can just drag and drop that into the trash, and we've got that cleaned up. Okay, so the next time we want to run SQL Developer, we just go into our applications, we've got it there, and we're ready to go. All right, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.